Welcome to another live video, Saturday morning or afternoon or evening segment, depending on where you are. Hopefully this will go without incident. That's the hope. All right, see if we can get this started over here. Get tuned into chat. So I had notification that my Iron Spider was supposed to be here this week and it didn't arrive. So we don't have that to discuss, but it is on its way. And I got notification that Doctor Strange will be shipping in about 2 weeks. So I have that coming. So what I have to go through is a Mark IV diecast, which I haven't opened up yet. I still have the I have the gantry out, but not. I didn't put this figure out because I'm going to put him in a different display. So we can talk about him. Noble, how you doing? Rick, good having you. What's up? I have this Atari Commander Foot Soldier Deluxe package. I have them individually. Over there standing with Thor, Thanos. And speaking of Thor, I've been putting off this Thor, waiting on the Black Panther because of the black light. And I'm about tired of waiting. So I may do one of them. I may do him. So if you have a preference in those, or if you guys want to talk about anything else, oh my God, I've seen Aquaman and Spider-Verse this week. And I did not see any of the other DC Universe, multiverse movies. But I have to say, gosh darn, Aquaman was a really good movie. And Spider-Verse, an amazing movie. I cried through Spider-Verse a lot. Spent a lot of tears watching Spider-Verse. Green Weeaboo, good to see you, man. Thank you very much. The final Black Panther release looks amazing. Yes, I've seen the pictures from J.C. Hong, and they look really good. I'm really looking forward to that. Sometimes I hear you guys asking about what I think the paint app will come off in regards to the luminescence paint that's put on there. I suppose that's a possibility, but I would hope not. You know what I mean? Do I have plans on seeing in? Yeah. Yeah, and let me tell you, when I find a movie to be really enjoyable, for instance, Spider-Verse, which I've really enjoyed, I believe in the whole movie thing, and so I will go to watch it again and again in the theater because that, your money speaks, and when the money gets back to the production houses that, hey, this movie made a lot of money in the theaters, let's make another one. I think that's the way to go. So I will probably go back and see Spider-Verse again while it's still in the theaters. I imagine it's probably on its way out. It's been out for a couple of weeks. I don't know. Villains don't tend to do well, but the last few have been amazing. I bet Thanos and Killmonger will sell out. I thought that Killmonger did sell out. Did he not? I'm not too pleased with the pre-pictures of the Killmonger head sculpt that they decided on. I would have much rather him with his crazy hair. I thought I saw that a third party had made the loose hair, and if that's the case, that would really be the one I'd want to have instead of the braided hair that Hot Toys has chosen to go with, by the way. So, of those three, do you have a preference, or do you want me to talk about something else? Between the Chitauri Foot Soldier Commander combo, Thor Infinity War, and the Mark IV diecast. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm going to choose Thor. You don't have a problem. So we're back to the regular I mean, not back to the regular, but with all the Infinity War comes with. Let's get this down here a bit. What type of shelves are strong enough for that Iron Legion? I'm talking about what I'm using. This isn't really a shelving system. This is really a desk. Well, not even a desk. It's a table with metal legs. So I don't know what the weight is of all this combined. I've got, if you can see up here, up at the top, I've got the Hulkbuster and the entire garage, the very top with War Machine on top of that. I have no idea what all that weighs. And then here again as well. And thankfully these Hall of Armor pieces made by Toys Box are built well enough. They're able to support all of this, through the simple physics of it as it's set up. And then these are on steel legs, or I don't know if they're steel or not. They rust, so I imagine they are for those, and that's what holds that up. I don't know if there's a shelving system that is better or perfectly designed for that. It's a good question. You want to do the Mark IV? Yeah, I'm digging the art boxes too. I dig all the Hot Toys art boxes. I've seen collectors that have displayed figures in front of their boxes, and if I had the shelves deep enough to do that, which I don't, the shelves that I'm using, in the shelves that I use, like these over here, and this black shelving cabinet over here, get these guys out of the way. These are bookshelves, so they're like only, I don't even know, 10 inches deep, 8 inches deep, or something to that effect, which is really not designed for figures. So you really need, I don't know, gosh, 12 inches easily would be at least. What's the size of a Detolf? Or Detolf? How exactly you say it? Handle any more figures arriving. Oh my god. So that's like the Christmas thing, it seems. So every year towards the end, we just get totally slammed with everything just getting dropped left and right. Next thing you know, you're 100% broke, totally wiped out. So this is how this came in the gantry box. So I imagine if you were to buy just the Mark IV, needless to say, there'd be more packaging here. But this is what they put inside the gantry box, which is all you really need. And I really like my Mark VI diecast. These pieces were the gantry pieces were. Really? Now, do you mean like what? So, from my understanding of in-game, it goes back to Avengers, which is when the Mark VII was put into production, because it was not ready for release. Remember when he's fighting Loki and Loki tosses him out the window, or did Loki toss him out the window? I think he did. And the Mark VII came to his rescue. But I don't think the 8 through 42 would be in game. So when you say the Hall of Armors, I assume you're meaning just like the first 7, right? So we get the donut and the coffee and the sunglasses as well. And in the if you were able to get a hold of the Secret Project, it comes with the black and gray instead of red and black sunglasses. So we'll get all this over here in a minute. And the Mark IV and Mark VI are identical, down to the point of the difference being only the chest piece. The round RT chest piece versus the triangular one with the new element that he invented in Iron Man 2. I hope. It sure seems like you would want them to calm down, but next thing you know, you're like, well, where's my Valkyrie and where's my Nebula and where's my Yellow Jacket and where's all my figures that you still haven't released? And I'm really digging the head sculpts as time goes on and they get more and more practiced in the art. You really start to see more and more of an exact likeness of these actors. And so I hope you can see this well. Robert Downey Jr. This really, I think, really nails it right there. I think the front looks like him a lot. They spent a lot of time sculpting Robert at this point. And the head and neck coming apart is my preference for him, because if I want to put this on a another suit that has the neck on it, you know, you can do that as well, compared to the head and neck being all together. Should we call it Avengers 4, not Endgame? Oh, favorite arc reactor design. You know, I never really thought of that, but there are a lot of them, aren't there? I mean, the Mark 40 has like an oblong one, kind of like a rectangle. I have not, you know, that's a good question. I've not actually spent enough time studying all those to be able to give you a fair enough response. That's a good question. That's a really solid question. I'm sorry. I don't know. The you know, it's funny picking this guy up, or you know, any diecast like this Mark 42, which is one of the original ones. When you handle one of these compared to handling, for instance, a non-diecast, there's a big difference in the way you feel about it. And I'll tell you what comes to my mind. I love the diecast figures, don't get me wrong. But whenever I grab a diecast figure, I don't know, for some reason I want to be more careful with the figure than I feel that I need to be whenever I just pick this guy up, who's not diecast whatsoever. He's totally a plastic figure. And I just feel, I don't know, comfortable holding him because, I don't know, he just feels comfortable to me. The diecast, I feel like I need to be a little more careful with him. I don't know why. Maybe it's because on these, for instance, the Mark 42, the legs and all that are just, you know, they didn't really. This guy, his legs, they don't do. When I move it just a little bit, it'll stay that little bit. You know, if I move it just a little bit here, it'll stay that little bit here. I don't have any worry about where I'm putting him. For the most part, all the other regular plastic figures work in that same manner. These die-cast ones, though, I'm always just a little weary. If I move it a little bit, will it stay there, you know, or will it go back like it just did? So there's always that concern that it's not as durable to me as the plastic ones are, which I don't know why that is. And hopefully with the newer ones, I can gain some confidence in that, but I always feel that way whenever I handle one of these. But the weight of these is reassuring in regards to, you would think it's full of quality, And I'm so pleased to have these, and I'm looking forward to getting, I hope that they do the entire set of them through 41, which didn't get to be diecast. I'd buy them all. I'm a Pokemon collector in that regards. Oh, my little pocket Iron Mans. So, let's get the 6 down here. Well, with these two, we can talk about these here. See a little height difference? Just a little bit? Between the 42 and the 4. Which doesn't make any sense to me. Why there would be a height difference. But I'm assuming that with the re-release of the first 7 in diecast, that they've cast them in original sizes, except for the 3, which I think the 3 needs to be redone again. I hate saying that. But I think the Mark III diecast really needs to be redone again. Let's grab this 6. So after last week going on a rant about displaying diecast figures on the solid pole, I decided to put this guy on here. It says Avengers Mark 7. But that's because I have them on this shelf, which isn't high enough to put anything on. As a matter of fact, I have my, I don't know if you've seen over there when I had this spun around, my, I don't know if you can see that, my 45, 46, and 47. No figure stand at all. They're just standing there next to stand. 46 concept, because my 46 is over here with Captain America. So, let's get back to business. Where are we at? Head sculpt is amazing. I agree. What type of camera do you use, and where can I find that? All right, so this is just my Samsung Galaxy S5 cell phone that I'm using for the live broadcast, because I don't have any other live gear for that. I'm assuming there's cameras you can do live with. For my videos, I'm using a Sony 4K camera, which I don't know where I've... Oh, there it is. It's a FX33, I think, which records the video in 4K, and that's what I use when I actually do a video for editing. And I haven't done one of those in a while, so I need, now that I have this set up, I feel comfortable enough to get back into the program of doing all of that. But you know, I don't know if you have a cell phone. I imagine you're using the same type of technology that everyone else is in the cell phones nowadays, whether it be an Apple or an Android or whatever it is you decide to use. A lot of them have 4K capability anymore. And like the S5, I bought that brand new in 2014. So it's a 5-year-old cell phone that still works perfectly fine. That's why I haven't bought another one. Mark 50, Mark 7 arc reactor. You see Sideshow put up an exclusive Mark 6 plastic for... What? What? When did they do that? Oh, stop. I did not. When did they do that? In MCU? Mark 6? NKSG. Good seeing you, man. When did Sideshow put up a Mark 6 exclusive? I don't see it. Okay, so in comparisons here, just by looking at them before going any further, as you all, I'm sure, are very well aware, it's just paint scheme. Literally. And I think the reason they held off on the Mark IV and released the Mark VI first was because they were still working on the gantry, which didn't make any sense because the gantry was already there. Got my Neon Tech. Yes, I like the figure, but I hate the crotch grabber. Ugh. And again, I am using the crotch grabber on my Mark IV because I've got them on that shelf, so I'm using just a little plastic one. But normally I like to display these guys with either one of the ones that go around from the back, and I got a lot of those from the Iron Legion or the Hall of Armor, you know, the ones from Mark 8 through 41. Or I really prefer the little ones like this. So here's one Mark 36. And when I use these pose stands, in my opinion, they really are, I don't know what to say. I can get them in and out of the display easily. So it uses a solid pose, and then this. These, to me, is another piece that are just like gold. I can't get enough of these. I would like to have one of these for all of them, because simply then all I do is right there. Now, on some of the figures, these guys and the 17s, it's really bulky and thick here, which makes it real difficult to get a good grip on that, but on and off. Simple as that. Don't have to worry about trying to pinch the piece in the back to get it around his waist, but the waist is the most trustworthy in regards to holders, and this is probably, in my opinion, the least obtrusive and trustworthy. So I prefer this out of all of them if I can get these. Like I said, these are another pieces like gold to me. Some of these are just, oh, what's going on here? Some of these are just remarkably difficult to get. I mean, if money were no object, anything could be attained. And as you know, I'm with all of you on the same boat of money is a major object. Like we were just talking about that huge release of figures there right before Christmas, totally broke the bank. And I'm glad that January seems to be slowing down in regards to things. I do hate, however, how long it takes for them to come out with figures again after the first of the year. So there's like this dead period where there's nothing to really talk about new coming out. So we have to deal with what we got since then. It's on Marvel's. It's on Marvel's. When you go to Hot Toys on Sideshow, it's on pre-order. Well, let's have a peek at that. Because no, I did not see a Mark VI plastic. And are you saying that it's part of the MCU? Iron Man? It's actually the Mark VI? Or are you talking about one of their reinterpretations of figures that they do? Dude, I don't see it. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Is the Diecast Mark IV same weight as Neon Tech? I'm going to say yes. I can get the scale and we can weigh them. But I'm going to say it's the exact same. I'm going to say it's the exact same figure. Now, possibly when we start talking about the microness of things, there may be more weight involved in the Neon Tech because of all the paint. I have a feeling there's probably less paint on the red and gold diecast versus the Neon Tech diecast. Hot Toys, Iron Man, Mark 43, Hulkbuster Deluxe, Bucky Barnes, Mark 7 Special Edition, Spider-Man, blah, blah. Iron Man 6 scale figure, 407 pre-order. Talking about this one? Well, that's the Mark 50. Mark 3. Dude, I don't see a Mark 6. What's this? I remember Mark 6 scale figure by Hot Toys, $234.99. Oh. Estimated arrival March, April. When did this drop? Sideshow exclusive. I did not see this. You know what this is? That's the Hong Kong. Gosh dang it. Shanghai. That's the Shanghai Mark 6. I guarantee you he comes with no accessories, right? Just the hands. Yeah. Okay. So that's the Shanghai release Mark 6. I would imagine there would be a Mark 4 coming as well then. Good eye. And I like my Mark 6 Shanghai. I have him. He's on my Mark 6 gantry out there, I think. Yeah, because this is the original Mark 6 I have in here. But I have the Mark 4 Shanghai in here, which, same figure. Well, and you know, let me just go get that. Because, I'll be right back. All right, so on the Shanghai release figures, the paint is different than the original release figures. It's more of an orange. And I've noticed that as well with the diecast also. So the diecast is more of a blue, and the Shanghai is more of an orange. Jeez, I can't believe I missed that. And I also have something I've been meaning to get around to, so let me go get that. This right here, magic paint, man. So that Mark 6 special exclusive item, I'm betting money on it. It is this guy right here. Just get some room here. And on this guy right here, the Shanghai, and the original Mark 6. Now I have a different, it doesn't come with a head sculpt, by the way. And I don't remember which one this comes from, which head sculpt this is. But they've essentially taken this figure and scaled it down to the minimum, all right? On the original Mark 6 plastic figures, you have these little retractable what do you call these? The flares that he could pop out. All right, and that's cool. And those were available on the older ones. With the Mark III diecast, they had one that actually popped in and out. I mean, literally removed and then replaced. And this one is, you see how they're a little sticking out over here? They're not supposed to stick out. It's supposed to be flush when it goes in. You see how they stick out? They're not supposed to stick out. And they're a little bare to get in. You just put it in and give it a little twist. And then it's supposed to go flush like that. You see how that's flush? So you don't have that on this. Also, the chest pieces are not interchangeable. So you can't put this chest piece on here. Other than that, it's a recast of the same figure. I mean, everything is identical in that regard. Well, okay. Except also, they, the original one, okay, no, I guess I was going to tell you that they had the screens on them. They do. All right, so I guess I've done a hybrid mesh here. The original ones have screens on them, if you can see that you had to actually put onto the piece. And the new ones don't. So the Shanghai, so this is actually the Shanghai, this is actually the Shanghai wings on a Mark VI diecast. They're interchangeable. And this is the original Mark VI wings on the Shanghai released. So there's another difference. And you see I just pulled it straight out and then just plugged it in. And so those are swappable. But the color on them is just a little off. And I don't mean off as in bad. I just mean off as in different. But on the original plastic pieces, they all come just a little battle damaged. There's really no clean version. Looking on all the legs, I don't remember them making one that didn't have this. They made, what, 2 or 3 of the Mark VIs, but I think every single one of them had that black on there. Whereas on the new ones, it's new. It looks brand new all the way around. So I have multiples of these Mark VIs because of every different release. And I'm glad to get this. And that's what that is. And at $234, how can you go wrong? Truthfully. It doesn't come with any accessories. You don't have the little pop-up wrist pieces that you have on the Mark VI, the original one. You don't have the battle damaged arms. It just as is, and they're glued together. So you can't take these off and put on there the little rockets that you get here. He's just a basic figure, perfect for placing into your Hall of Armor. And that's an advantage of having the extra pieces, is because you can display them like I do, Mark VI versus Loki, Mark VI on the gantry, Mark VI in the Hall of Armor. But exact same rubber panties. So you're going to end up with this fading eventually. And I think you guys can see that. And it will happen. So this right here that I was showing you, I went and grabbed. I've been meaning to make a video doing this, and I have not gotten around to it. And now I can't do it until the rain stops, which will probably be March before I'll be able to do this. But this Tamiya Ts 74 paint is what you want to do. There's several videos of people showing you how to fix these, and they strip them down and they repaint them red and whatever else. This isn't a red paint, it's a red clear coat. You don't want to remove this silver that's already on here, which gives it that reflective metallic look. So all you want to do is you want to refresh it. So the hands, these rubber pieces, you want to hit them with this. You spray them with this, and you're going to bring it back to this without having to strip all the paint off of it. Because when you remove this silver paint, which is what the problem is, you're not going to get it really back to that. You can buy the red and you can spray it on there, but it's not going to look the same. It's not going to look deep, right? When you just spray this clear on here, you're going to get your deep, because it's not a clear, it's a red clear. And so you're spraying red back onto it to give it this again. And this is what you want on your older figures. Your heads, your panties, and your hands, and anything else that's faded out. This Tamiya Ts 74 is what you want to use to do that with. So that's what this is. That's a great price, $234.99. Obviously, I had to buy this third party because I wasn't able to go to Shanghai to pick this up at the Disney store. And I have the 4 and the 6, and I'm glad to have it. I don't even know how many 6s I have. 5, possibly. And this 6 sits in my Mark 6 gantry, and this 6 sits in my Hall of Armor up there, and this 6 goes against Loki, and I'm lost right now where the others are. But gosh, thanks for the heads up on that. I can truthfully say I'm going to pass on that Mark 6 because I have him, and I can't think of any other thing I need to display a Mark 6 in any other capacity. Oh yeah, I have a Mark 6 fighting War Machine Mark 1 with fighting with War Machine Mark 1 in Whiplash 2. That's another Mark 6. So I don't know what else I would do with a Mark 6, but I guarantee you that's what this is. And I did not know that that was there. Because all I do, I just check the front page. I don't go into it past the front page. And now I guess I'm going to have to start going into it past the front page to see everything else that's going on. If you hadn't told me about that, I wouldn't even know that it even happened. All right, let's see. Does it do pinky panties on? Hey, Siri Morning in out today at the car dealership. Car dying. Oh man, sorry to hear that. I was more hyped when they announced the Punisher number 218 War Machine Mark III. Is that what that is? Punisher number 218? Is that the comic that it's from? So is this pretty much the only way to get the Mark 6 at a reasonable price? Yes, it is. I'd get the diecast on eBay, but it's just ridiculous. Yes, it is very expensive. Do the diecast paint? Do the diecast paint? I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, it does. Okay. No, it does not. And the reason that it fades on these is because it's rubber. And that's why it fades out. It's just a property of it being that. I have not seen any of the actual plastic pieces or the metal pieces fading, personally. I don't. You see, I don't have them in the sun. They don't get light on them all the time. But I mean, they are fading no matter. I have not seen any pieces though, and the die-casts don't have any of the rubber on them. His little knee joints are really loose. This is one of the original Mark 6s here. This one, there you can see that. And how you fix that, by the way, is you screw right here on the insides. Is a little screw. Can you guys see that? You're just going to screw in right there, and that will tighten up that joint right there. So specifically on him, let me do that. Super glue, screwdrivers, tweezers, your Hot Toys kit. Oh, this guy is beyond that. All right, so I've just tightened the snot out of that, and got nowhere. So now what you want to do is, in order to cause that to tighten up now, is you're going to want to put a filler in there to give it some resistance. And believe it or not, a really good filler for that is Elmer's glue. White school glue. It doesn't really bond to anything, but it just creates muck inside of that. And depending on how badly that would need to be resolved, you can just unscrew it and squirt it in, or just put a little squirt in there. And the reason this is, it doesn't adhere to anything in regards to the paint. It doesn't adhere to, it's not permanent. You can wash it off and it doesn't leave any traces of it ever being on there, and it dries perfectly clear. And this will cause a resistance inside of that to keep this from happening. So everything that has happened to this guy potentially can happen to him. Exact same figure, and the one that they're selling now on Sideshow. So those are tips and hints in your collecting. I don't know how far you guys have gotten in regards to this. I imagine a lot of you are on the same page with me in what you've learned over the years on how to maintain your Hot Toys figures, because it's a constant work. It's not something you can just forget about. Where are we? Jason, how's it going, man? How to get rid of the pink panties issue? Red nail polish. That's an option, but this is it right here. It's not a red paint. It's a red clear coat. It's called Tamiya Ts 74 Clear Red, and you spray it on there. And compared to the nail polish, which you brush on, is probably going to be really thick and possibly leave stroke marks. This you just spray on. It's a red. It's a clear red, and you spray it right over what's already on there. Don't take that off. Just put it right on it, and it's simple as that. And that will resolve that. Put it right back to the way it was originally, because that's how the process was done originally in the plant. It was red, silvered, and then it was cast in red, and then sprayed with the silverish, and then the black lines were put on it, and then cleared with this. That's how that happens. Can you tell five differences between Mark 4 and 6 except the arc reactor and paint? Yeah. And the paint? There's 5 differences? I know that there are 5 differences if you're not talking about the paint. Ant-Man to arrive early. I'd like to have my Wasp arrive. I'd like to have them make the yellow jacket like they've showed us. That would be nice. Right? Where does this guy come from? Oh yeah, he's up here in the Hall of Armor. So we'll put him right here. Put him over here. And I have a feeling if they're doing this Mark 6 special edition, exclusive edition through Sideshow, that there will also be a Mark 4 coming as well. And Jason, can you tell us the 5 differences that you are familiar with between the 4 and 6, other than the paints? Because I don't know, other than paint, any differences on them besides the arc reactor. I don't know any difference at all, other than paint. But the diecast, truthfully, is the way to go if you want to have a feature-rich figure. El Pachan, I don't know if I'm saying that right. How you doing, man? Welcome, welcome. Good day to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I really look forward to our meets like this. So glad to have every one of you. Thank you for taking time out of your day. Thank you for spending it with me. And welcome to my home and my collection My wife tolerates my collection. It's nice to have somebody that loves you and tolerates your quirkiness. And this, I would say, is definitely a quirk. It's so funny. It started with the first figure I bought, my Hot Toys figure, first Hot Toys figure was the Mark 17 Heartbreaker. And I still have a connection with him. I love my Mark 17 Heartbreaker. I don't know why. He's a cool figure. And I've told you guys before, I'm sure, on occasion, my wife likes Igor. That's her favorite. And my wife and I were talking about that last night because her and I share this room. That side of the room is her room. She has her getting ready room, dressing chamber, I suppose. And this side of the room is my side of the room because we're not rich and we don't have a big house, regular size 1,000 square foot home. And so this is the other bedroom. So when she comes in here, she sees the figures, but she doesn't pay attention to them. Like I said, she tolerates this obsession of mine. The guy to collect them all. So I was showing them all off to her yesterday. And what her and I were discussing, because as I was just saying a few moments ago, that she really likes the Igor figure. And I theorized that what's so nice about Igor, or why there's this likability about him. And I'll share with you what I was telling her, in my opinion, what it is that Igor's he's like baby human size. He's what, 18 inches tall, more or less? $17 and something or so, almost 18 inches tall. That's a little kid, little baby. And we have this built into us, like the survivability mode, to want to love little children. All animals, every one of us do. There's this protection mode that goes in. So my theory is, looking at him, it invokes that parental sense of this is a kid. So the little 12-inch figures, they don't get that. I don't get this. This is something I need to protect, and this is a kid type of thing. But looking at Igor, he just looks to me subconsciously. It's a little child, and you just want to, grab him and hug him and give him a little burp. Now, on that same token, Mark 44 Hulkbuster up there, the beast. He is huge, almost 2 feet tall, and so he's still kid height. But looking at him, he looks more militaristic, I suppose. I mean, come on, this guy's definitely built for action, but he looks like a little chubby little baby, whereas the Mark 44 Hulkbuster does not look nothing like a chubby little baby. Yeah, I still want to grab my Hulkbuster and give him a big hug, but this guy, he looks like a little kid. Just makes you want to grab him and hug him. And I said, I think that's probably why my wife likes him so much. The Paul Rudd sculpt that came with the Ant-Man Civil War. Is that what you're talking about? Actually, even I don't know. I thought you would know. Oh, you mean the 5 differences? No, there's, in my opinion, there's only differences the chest piece, the chest reactor. Ironmonger. What about Ironmonger? Oh, huggability? No. I don't get huggability looking at Ironmonger either. But my wife likes Ironmonger. She likes him not as much as she likes Igor. He's in the other room, the computer room, where we play our video games and do whatever else that we do on computers. And so I have him battling the Mark III. And she said that she liked Ironmonger, but essentially all she ever sees on Ironmonger is just him kind of turned like this. He's not really in a good enough pose to show him off because I've got him fighting the Mark III. I suppose you would get the same sense, possibly, of hugging him, but I don't know. I don't think he's as tall. What is he? I think he's like only 14 or 15 inches tall. I suppose it would invoke the same passion. Here's the problem. You can't find an Ironmonger new you're going to have to find him third party. And every single one of them I've ever seen on the Ironmongers, this is cracked and broken right in here. So he's a very fragile figure. These you can still order this brand spanking new from Big Bad Toy Store, and you get a rebate towards the purchase of your next figure. So he ends up only being like, I don't know, $200 or something to that effect after it's all said and done, or even less. What a deal this guy is. If you want a good looking little figure and you haven't picked him up yet, go to Big Bad Toy Store and buy him brand spanking new. Get you a discount towards purchase of your next figure or collectible or anything that you want to get from them. And that's the way to go, in my opinion, on a Mark 38 Igor. And I think Tony calls him Igor. I think in England they say Igor, but I'm pretty sure Tony calls him Igor. So Igor is what I will call him, because he is Igor, according to Tony Stark. Power pose. The Mark II, you talking about the Hulkbuster 2? I am getting that. And what power pose necessarily means is that it's not as articulated. So, for instance, the Mark 35 is a power pose figure, and the Mark 36 is not a power pose figure, and that's because of like the articulations of the wrists that you get in the Mark 36 that you don't get in the Mark 35. Identical figures, the Mark 36 and Mark 35, except for the arms. So the Mark 36 arms, which is the orange guy that I just had over here, in case you guys don't know. Stop me if I'm talking about. I don't know how hardcore Iron Man figure you collectors you guys are. I don't want to talk down to you guys if you're on the same level as I am, but I don't want to talk over you if you're not following me. The Mark 36 Peacekeeper, Peacemaker. Sorry, I don't remember. These are for the most part Mark 17 forearms and Mark 7, if I remember correctly, biceps. And the Mark 36, the Mark 35 has the grappling arms, and he's all the way up at the top. And you can still buy him brand new. And I've thought about buying another one because I customized that one and made his arms retractable. I actually replaced them with antenna, telescoping metal arms, so they actually work. They go up and down. But this guy is not a power pose. He is a power pose. He does not have an articulated waist. The Hulkbuster Deluxe, the Hulkbuster Mark II is a power pose figure, and it's a PVC figure. So, problems that we might have with that could possibly be paint fading. Speaking of PVC figures, if you want to know what a PVC figure really is, that would be these guys. These Chitaris are PVC figures. So if you have one of these, then you know what a PVC figure is compared to the plastic figures. All right? So the new Hulkbuster 2 is crafted like this. Potential paint problems. But no, I am definitely getting him. Gotta collect them all, man. Gotta catch them all. That's how that works. Bad connection? Are we breaking in and out? Do I think Hot Toys will give us a Diecast Ironmonger? I think anything's possible. I don't know what their thought is and how far they're planning on going in doing the diecast figures. I don't know if they would re-release that one or not. I will be very pleased if they just re-release the Mark 1 diecast, which I'm almost positive they're going to. Howard Chan himself had even stated that he had every intention of doing at least the first 7. And that one right now is the only one that we have left. And I really think they need to redo Mark III. And I hate saying that. But with the advancements of the diecast figure, the Mark III needs to be redone again. That's my opinion on that. On the hammers, didn't they make one of them that wasn't metal, or are all of them metal? I think there's one that's not metal on Mjolnir's. So on the donut and the glasses, I think they're identical to what the original one was. And this is just a cool little addition. So of course the scene is when he's in Randy's donut and Nick Fury comes by, and I think he says something to the effect of, talking to him like a police officer, "Sir, I need you to exit the donut," or something to that effect. But we see him up there wearing these glasses right here. And they have a little red and black check on them. Don't know if you can see that. Right there, possibly. Red and black squares. Which reminds me of the Vans tennis shoes that became really popular back in the 80s. And that goes along with my thought or opinion that the line between Robert Downey Jr., and I don't mean any offense to Robert Downey Jr., but the line between Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark is a very thin separation. And Robert Downey Jr., just as myself, is a product of the 80s. And that was a big thing back then. Batteries. Da, 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 da. Tony looks up and down at Natasha and says, "You're fired." Love that scene. You're fired. Yeah. So yeah, here's the little cup. I think in the movie though, I think it says on it Randy's Donuts, and I don't know if this would have said Fresh Donuts or Randy's Donuts in the movie, and maybe they couldn't get away with using Randy's name. I don't know. And here's the donut, because we actually see him when he's up there putting it in his mouth, so he's actually eating the donut when he's in the donut. And so now I actually have 2 donuts. So you can have 4 donuts. 1, 2, And now I can actually give Nick Fury a cup, because I think both Nick and Tony are having coffee together. Weren't they? I'm really digging on the Mark IV diecast these pieces here, which weren't on the 4 or 6 original release. Favorite Iron Man suit? Oh man, I don't remember which one is the mech test. I think I don't have the mech test. I think what I have is the one that comes with the Hall of Armor. Well, it doesn't come with the Hall of Armor, but where he's got the Mark 42 pieces on him. And the reason I don't have the mech test, I think, is because, yeah, sorry, Earth is closed today. I think I don't have the Mark test for 2 reasons. One, it came out before I first started collecting the Hot Toys figures. So it was one that had to be chased down. And I batted back and forth going for it. 2, I thought it was a duplicate figure that I already had in regards to the body. And 3, because I have the Armor Mark II Armor Unleashed, which comes with the lower legs, and I have the accessory kit, which comes with the extra table and all the little arm pieces and the little hand pieces. I essentially had everything that came in the Mark II mech test, if that's what the figure it is, because that's the one that I've passed on. Another one I also passed on is the one where, well, first off, I didn't get Rose Hill, the cowboy version. I wouldn't mind having that. I didn't get that. And I also did not get the one from Iron Man 3 where he has the little watch and the little electric pieces and the glove that he made and all that. I didn't get that guy either. So there are, believe it or not, actually Iron Man figures that I don't have, which kind of like goes beyond belief. So I don't know. Let's find out if these pieces are interchangeable. I can tell you right now, I don't believe for 1 second that the chest pieces are going to be interchangeable. I'm about ready to bet just about anything on that. Man, I sure am glad I didn't bet. Because it looks like it'll go right in there. No, it's not going right in. And I don't want to force it. Oh, look at that. How about that? There's a Mark IV chest on the Mark VI. There's the Mark VI on the Mark IV. Wow. Identical pieces. Now I've tried switching them out on the plastic ones, and they don't switch out. Thanos versus Iron Man or Cap versus Iron Man? Thanos versus Iron Man was really the entire team versus Thanos, personally, in my opinion. But I really like Shakespeare in the Park, the duel of Iron Man versus Thor. That is that's priceless, man. That is priceless. I did not expect these pieces to be interchangeable. I really did not expect that. So what is really nice about the diecast figures over the plastic ones also are the blue lights that they've put in here. And I don't know if I have his little batteries in here. I try not to keep batteries in here because I've had not them explode in my figures, but I've had them explode. And so I don't like keeping them in there. I was sitting here one day hearing pop, 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 and I'm like, what in the world is all that popping going on? And it literally was these little batteries popping open and exploding. I had like in one day they just started. I'm like, what in the hell? So you don't want to keep these in your figures. They will explode. What am I doing wrong here, guys? Oh, man, when Thanos said that to him, you have my respect, Stark. And like I said, half of humanity will still exist, and I hope they remember you. Man, I cried when I seen the first Endgame trailer. Ah, I do have the battery in there. So let's turn off these lights. Oops. Sorry about that. What did I just do? Oh, I pushed the table. Just jacked my camera. Sorry about that, guys. Always seems to be some technical difficulty. Blue lights. I love that. Same thing in here. And there's a light switch in the arm, guys. Oh, it's under the bicep, isn't it? The bicep piece comes off. Oh yeah. Oop. There we go. Mark IV has this as well. And I really dig this. I really dig those blue lights under those missiles. We see that specifically versus the Loki scene. And that's why I have him displayed versus Loki. And he really fights Loki as Loki in his outfit, but I've put him up against the little visiting the museum Loki, because I like that little Loki, because I don't have the original Loki, so I want the original Loki. Ah, Rick, I never thought about that. Was it just the adults, or was it the animals and the babies and everything else? Well, he is called the Mad Titan, and he showed very little restraint in his discipline of Nebula compared to his love for Gamora. In a twisted sense, he removed all of the pieces of Nebula through his discipline of her, and compared to Gamora, you know, I think he's so crazy that he did wipe out half of every, without prejudice to them being a child versus an adult and the animals, because like Rocket Raccoon, he's not a human, you know, or you know, the creatures from other planets, where obviously a humanoid style creature isn't the main species in charge. Yeah, he wiped out half of everything, man. He's an insane individual. Thanks, El Pachan. Dude, I don't know how to get to Comic-Con. I mean, I know how to get there. I know how to drive to San Diego. But I don't know how to get tickets or anything like that. If any of y'all know how to get me hooked up in that, let me know. You know, obviously, Sardimus and I are friends, and Sean is a friend of mine. I'm thinking about going over and seeing them today. He's over at Toy Fusion here in town, with a little toy show that they've got going on and selling toys. And I'm thinking about swinging by there and spending some time with Sean this afternoon. And of course they go to the Comic-Con. Gosh dang it, I I really don't know how to get to Comic-Con. I hate asking those guys. You know what I mean? Because we're friends, but we don't necessarily hang out. If that makes any sense. Ha! You're right. Tony won't get to see Cap with the beard. You're absolutely right. So there is the Mark IV versus Mark VI. And no, I don't know 5 differences. Only differences I know of are the paints. And those are easy enough to see the differences in. And what was it that I was looking at last night? There was something I was looking at last night where I was thinking to myself, oh, there's another concept that probably won't ever be made. Now I can't remember what it was that I was looking at last night. But this suit, the Mark VI, if you remember from Iron Man Mark II, when he created the element, all right, and on the Hall of Armor in the garage, there's the little words that are on the front of the holographic display. And on the Mark IV, it literally said, waiting upgrade. So here he is. He has his Mark IV. And what's his Whiplash's name? Anyhow, Whiplash was, for the most part, destroying the expo, and I have Civil War Falcon. I love my Civil War Falcon. I'm happy with it, but I'm salty we won't get a an Infinity War Falcon. I really wanted the bearded Falcon. You don't think we'll get an Infinity War Falcon? I hadn't thought of that. So anyhow, he had to rush this into production. So literally, in my opinion, he snatched the Mark IV suit out of the Hall of Armor, replaced the pieces on it that were damaged from earlier encounters, and put on the new pieces that ended up being the different colors that we're seeing. So it wasn't that at that point, in my opinion, he literally had Jarvis fabricate in a matter of seconds or minutes an entire new suit. Because obviously we know he fabricated things there at his garage, at his home. I think he literally just snatched the Mark IV right out of the Hall of Armor, replaced the pieces that were damaged from what was going on with the Mark IV, because it said awaiting upgrade, threw in it the new arc reactor, and off he went to fight Whiplash. That's my opinion of how the Mark VI became and why there's such a similarity between the two. And then, of course, Avengers shortly thereafter that, same suit, no sense of changing anything, you've already got it. And on, I think it is the Mark I, it says on it recreation or something to that effect, about it being a copy of the original. And if you remember on there's a side story that came out that explained the War Machine. And on the Mark II, he'd taken, so he uses the term Rhodes stole the suit. And then as we were just talking about with Nick and Natasha, when he's there at Randy's Donuts, and Nick's like, your best friend or something, I think they claim he's your best friend, took your suit, you let the man take your suit, and he looks to Natasha and says, is that even possible? And she's like, according to security protocols, it's not. So he allowed them to have it. He actually had it, I guess, even set up for him to work. And in a side story that came out afterwards, we found out that when he took that suit and Hammer actually built the War Machine, he built the War Machine out of the Mark II. So the War Machine's not a built-up from scratch suit like the Hammer drones are. The War Machine really is still the Iron Man Mark II armor. And in the side story, he gets it returned to him, strips off all of the War Machine parts, and then reassembles the Mark II back to what it is, or was, before Rhodes took it, or he allowed it to be taken from him. But that's, in my opinion, how the Mark IV and the Mark VI came about. because it was really a Mark IV in the first place, and he just slapped it together real quick to be able to go fight Whiplash. And that is the Mark VI. That's why same figure. So I really dig these abilities to do this. This guy doesn't do any of that. Neither of these. Be it the original or the Shanghai exclusive, they don't do this. This guy definitely doesn't. He doesn't do anything. But for $200, can't go wrong. Ah, dang it. Threw that piece down there again. Gotta be careful. Because I swapped these out because he's being displayed in the Mark VI gantry, the moving gantry, which I talked about before. It's the King Arts 1/9 scale Mark VI gantry from Avengers. But I tell you, man, it's 1/6 scale. I've compared it to the movie on many occasions, and the size comparisons, I hate saying the same word over and over again. That is really a 1/6 scale. Because if it goes any larger than that, it would be larger than that. He lands on the circular piece, and it's, yay big. And it's just that much bigger than his foot. And then as he walks down, that rotates up, okay? So now it's about this big, and then expands. And it never really comes up over his head for the most part. It's there taking all the pieces off. That 1/9 scale King Arts moving gantry, Mark VI moving gantry from Avengers is, in my opinion, 1/6 scale. It really is. There is a 1/6 scale gantry that's a third party made, and you can't go wrong if you were to buy that, but I don't think it truthfully is 1/6. On these guys, of course, as you know, you have an L and an R for left and right side of them. A custom head sculpt of Falcon, right, sir? What would you need a custom head sculpt of Falcon for? When did we ever see, was this, we never got to see him using all these missiles in the Mark IV, did we? Did he use all these in the Mark IV, in Iron Man 2? Did he use all these guys? And by the way, let me get this guy down here. I love this piece. That was Shanghai taking a dive. And he only took the dive because Mark VI Diecast jumped into him. He survived it well. All right, so right back down to these pieces again, talking about that earlier, poking out. You can see that. Here's the missiles on this guy. Here's the missiles on this guy. These missiles now are on this guy. Mark IV, Mark VI, of course, plastic, die-cast. Did we ever see these missiles on the Mark IV? When I sold Hot Toys prices, it was just thinking if Mark 50 and Mark IV War Machine at $400, how will in-game Iron Man and War Machine cost? $500? And an exclusive Rescue Armor, $600? God, I hope not. I would hope that they'd stop where they are now. But help me out remembering, did we ever see this on any of them. You know, those missiles there. Let's get these guys side by side. So I only brought him down to show you the missiles on him in comparison. So there's the missiles on the Mark 6. There's the missiles on the Mark 4 original. And now the new Mark 4 diecast also has those same missiles. And I guess my question is, did we ever see these on the Mark 4? Because I don't remember them being there. Any of the scenes with the Mark 4. Help me out, guys. Was this the one that went and fought the guys in the desert? Was it the Mark 4 he did that with? That he returned into the donut from? What was he doing before the donut? Before the donut, he was fighting Rhodes, right? In his house. He didn't go off after that. And we didn't see this during Rhodes, right? Did we? I don't think so. Oh, yeah. Hammer Tech? Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to bust his bunker with the ex-wife. The reason that failed, by the way, is because when he talks about it, because, you know, Justin Hammer comes up, and they've got the Mark II sprawled out on the table, and he starts saying, what do you want? And he pulls out all these different weapons, you know, the pistols and the rifles and the grenade launchers, and then he pulls out his ex-wife, and he says something to the effect of it being kinetically charged missile, which means, if I'm understanding correctly, that as the further it travels, the more of a damage it becomes. So I would have to say that Rhodes was at fault for firing it at such a close range. It's one of those missiles, if I understood the way he described it properly, the way that he described it, if I understood properly the way that he described it, that it builds up energy as it travels. And so since it only traveled 30 feet, that's why it just bounced off him. It didn't have a chance to become the explosive weapon that it should have been. But yeah, Hammer Tech? Yeah. So there's your Mark IV and comparison. And he's the same as the Mark VI. All the pieces are interchangeable between the two, as we just seen with the chest piece, because I guarantee if the chest piece interchanges, the arms interchange. And you have butterfly joints, which are great. Can you see that, guys? Pulls out that much, which makes for a lot better posing compared to the diecast, the plastic figures. But if you're planning on getting a Hall of Armor and you don't have the Hall of Armor yet because it's been re-released, and you need to fill your pieces in, and you still want to be able to display a piece out and about, and you want a piece for the Hall of Armor, that exclusive piece available from Sideshow at $200, brand new, is the way to go. Now, what do I think about that? Kind of pisses me off also, because now all of my figures are losing their value. Right? You're supposed to be collectible figures. How the hell am I collecting Jack, and every time I turn around, they're re-releasing it again? Well, I guess the only thing I can hope is that you end up having to pay more for it than I did if I had bought it originally. But because my Mark 6 Shanghai release, I had to pay a third-party reseller for, I guarantee you, you're getting it cheaper than I did. Because you're getting it straight from the distributor. And I did not see that. I'm glad you shared that with me. To buy Captain Marvel tickets, I did not. I got trying to get in-game tickets for night release. I'll be like dodging War Machine's bullets. I did not get Captain Marvel tickets yet. And so here's what happened with that. I didn't check my emails for a few days. And so I got the notification that the, what do they call it, the launch party or whatever, the official release of it, where they actually give you all the special things, that sold completely out. So on the same day tickets, you know, and there's a show starting 30 minutes after the original one, and it's not sold out yet. And I was like, you know what? I'm missing out on the original the minute that it's being released because I didn't check the emails and didn't get that ticket. You know, am I that enthused about it that I have to go right now and see it? I'm not sure. So no, I haven't bought them yet myself, and that's kind of the only reason why I didn't, was because of that. So on these guys, see which one is it? What am I looking for? I'm looking for the little laser cannons on the back of the wrists. You know what? The Mark 6 comes with the little laser cannons. The Mark 4 does not. All right? So, if you remember when he fought Whiplash 2, he, you know, they're fighting all the hammer drones right before Whiplash shows up. And he tells them to duck, and he does his lasers thing and cuts them all in half. And Rhodes is like, how about next time you lead off with that? He's like, yeah, sorry. And those parts just come off, and he's like, they're a one-off. The Mark 6 has that. The Mark 4 doesn't. So it doesn't come with any of those. But this guy, if I remember correctly, does. Let me look. I thought they were on this one. I'm looking. No, I don't see it. So on the plastic pieces, get these guys over here. I'm not talking about Shanghai, I'm talking about the original one, if I remember correctly. No. I thought that there were little pieces that were actually on them. The little lasers. Frickin' lasers. But I don't see them. What am I thinking of? The interchangeable arms? Is that what they were on? So there's the difference between the Mark 4 and Mark 6. Mark 6 comes with the lasers, the Mark 4 does not. I did. I pre-ordered 2 Mark 7s from Big Bad Toy Stores. And I prefer Big Bad Toy Store for the biggest reason that I prefer Big Bad Toy Store over Sideshow is because Big Bad Toy Store has the $4 shipping, and you can get, you know, even this heavy piece with the gantry and everything shipped to you for $4. Sideshow sends me a figure, dude, I'm paying like almost $20 for shipping and handling. So you have a piece that's $400 or whatever, and then you got to pay an additional $20 shipping and handling and the tax. And next thing you know, you've spent $500 on shipping and handling and tax on a figure that I could have got from Big Bad Toy Store for only $4 shipping and handling. And that's one main reason why I like Big Bad Toy Store over Sideshow. Of course, though, as you know, with exclusives, those you have to buy through Sideshow specifically. And whenever you order through Sideshow, on every piece, they all have a deposit on them. Whereas the Big Bad Toy Store, the deposit begins at a certain dollar amount, and I think it's $300, and that's when you have to start paying the deposit. Otherwise, the Big Bad Toy Store, you don't pay for it until it arrives in the store. And you can even save on shipping if you want and set up what they call their pile of loot, where you still have to pay for the figure, but they don't ship it to you until you say, go ahead and ship it. And then at that point, they'll put them all in a box, and you only get charged $4 to have them shipped to you. So if you want to have 6 figures sent to you at one time, $4. Now, you contact Sideshow, tell them to send you 6 figures at one time. You pop in $20 a piece in shipping and handling. There's $120 or whatever, you know. Here's the glasses. Sometimes Hot Toys does these glasses perfectly. You know, they can just slip them right on and off without any problem. Other times, like in the manner of Bruce Banner, man, you finagle with those and finagle with them and mess with them and mess with them, and you can never get them to sit in the holes, and they're popping out all the time. You end up gluing them onto his head to get him to do anything. And I really hate that. Really hate that altogether. Little neck band that you have to make up the difference from where the neck piece is on this. On the Shanghai pieces, they even went as far as to make it the same neck and head, if I remember correctly, which the light goes in through the head, if I remember correctly. How long have we been on? Hour and a half. Guys, thanks for sticking with me. Do you have anything else that you want me to go through? I think I've probably wasted your time long enough. I appreciate every one of you being here. And I hope I touched on the Mark IV enough that you have an idea of what he is, if you had not before. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? $10 shipping for each box to yeah, from Big Bad Toy Store. You pay that, or are you buying yours from the Falcon Hangar? Where are you getting them from out there in India? Because Big Bad Toy Store, they'll ship worldwide. And so, like I say in the beginning of my video, I buy all my Toys, Figures, Collectibles from Big Bad Toy Store. They ship worldwide, and you don't pay for it until it arrives in their store. And so those are all the reasons that I like Big Bad Toy Store. But is that where you get them from, Big Bad Toy Store, to have them shipped to you out in India, Jason? Rick, Big Bad Toy Store should have an exclusive Hot Toys one day. They need to talk to Hot Toys about it. Well, that will never happen. Because Sideshow and Hot Toys have an exclusive partnership. So Hot Toys signed a contract with Sideshow to be the distributor of Hot Toys products in at least North America. I don't know who is the distributor in South America. They may have this entire side of the hemisphere of Earth. They may have North and South America. I don't know. But I know for a fact they are the North American and exclusive distributor. So Big Bad Toy Store still has to get their products from Sideshow. Add that up. So you're getting from Sideshow and Big Bad Toy Store. And they only charge you $10 shipping from Sideshow? How in the world am I getting the wrong end of the deal there? I haven't talked to them about that 2 weeks ago. I think it was. I was talking about that last week. I was having a discussion with Sideshow specifically about shipping and handling, and I was like, man, this is ridiculous. You guys are ripping me off. And I live in California, dude. I'm like only 400 miles from them. I'm like, what the hell? You charge me an insane price for shipping and handling. And I'm comparing it to Big Bad Toy. I even told them, I said, dude, I can get it from Big Bad Toy Store all day long for $4. And they're like, oh, we can't comment on the prices that Big Bad Toy Store's charging. And I'm like, well, you should be, because they're charging less than you guys are. WTF. Doctor Strange for Sideshow or Big Bad Toy Store. The new Doctor Strange is an exclusive, if I remember correctly. So so of course he's coming from Sideshow. On the Hulkbuster Deluxe, the new Hulkbuster is coming out at $1,200 or whatever he is. Hong Kong to India. You're buying your toys from Hong Kong? Oh, right. Hong Kong to India, and you got to go all the way to the freaking Big Bad Toy Store to have them sent to you? Or are you buying them from not Toy Sapien. Toy Sapiens is Japan. What is it called in Hong Kong? The Hot Toy Store. No, we are in winter here in California, and I actually had to wear a coat this last week here in Northern California. So I'm in Northern California, which is San Francisco level, and it's about the same way across as New York City is, and Chicago. It's about the same height as those parts of the country, whereas Los Angeles and San Diego is down there at the same height as the bottom of Texas and Florida, so it's much warmer down there. But I don't believe it's even hot down there. I think it's cold down there too. And the way that on the northern hemisphere, as the winds circulate in this manner, all right, the wind comes from Japan, goes up around the Arctic Circle, down along Alaska, and then the wind comes down from Alaska along the coast into California. So we have a cold wind that comes from the north, and the ocean is colder because the water is circulating in this manner too. So the Pacific Ocean there in San Francisco is colder, whereas over on the east coast of the United States, as the wind still spins in the same direction, the wind's coming up from the Caribbean, and the water's coming up from the Caribbean, so it's actually a warmer water and air than what we have here in California. But it doesn't really get real cold. It's called a Mediterranean climate that we have here in Northern California, and that's how they're able to grow the wine, the grapes, and all that. So we really have a really nice winter. We get amazing snow. They have feet of snow falling in the Sierra Madre Mountains here, and we have a rainy season right now. We went through like 7 years of drought, and everybody was freaking out here in California that we were going to die of, with lack of water, and all the reservoirs are back up to even flooding and breaking down the dams to almost that point. So, but yeah, it was cold enough I actually had to wear a coat. So it's chilly. I've got the heat on. Got it set to 68 degrees Fahrenheit to keep me nice and toasty here in the house. But for the most part, I just walk around in shirt and pants and not have to worry about it. Secret base. That's right. That's the Hong Kong. North Carolina. I would imagine that the weather that you have in North Carolina is very similar to what we have here. I would think. I don't know. So let's see, where are we? I should have my Iron Spider next week. That's coming from Big Bad Toy Store. So Big Bad Toy Store is sending it to me via FedEx. And I think it said that through FedEx it's coming to me next week. So next weekend I'll be unboxing my Iron Spider. And I got notification from Sideshow that Doctor Strange is coming in about 2 weeks. So that will be coming to me. And I love my Doctor Strange, my original Doctor Strange. If you guys remember, I custom made some hands, because the problem with the hands was that in order for him to do his one spell, he has his hands like this with the ring on it. And none of the hands that came with the original Doctor Strange had this position. So I bought another set of hands specifically, And I took one of the hands that I think were open like this, and I took these two fingers and glued them down to be able to do this so that he can do his casting that he does to create the portals that he makes. So I had to customize a hand to do that, and I just literally glued it. And before I could glue that, I had to cut into the hand in order to be able to bend down, because when you bend down without cutting open, just as your own hand does, as you pull it in there, your skin folds. That rubber wasn't going anywhere, so I had to cut that out to put a little groove in order to be able to fold those down into that. And then I glued it and then held it together with like a paper clip, or not a paper clip, a clothespin to keep it together, a clamp, while it glued and hardened together. But I think the final panel of the Black Panther, of the new Black Panther, love it, and I'm looking forward to it. And I hated that they didn't have the head sculpt from in the first Black Panther. Made zero sense to me as to why we didn't have a head sculpt. I was like, why did we not get that? I don't understand. So I made sure to buy a head sculpt to go with that, and that is how I display my original Black Panther. And the new Black Panther comes with a head sculpt. And so this is how I display my original Black Panther in this manner, with come on, help me out, what's his name? Character that portrayed Black Panther, who played T'Challa. My favorite figure of 2018. I didn't tell you guys, did I? Let me think. What would be my favorite figure from 2018? Oh, geez. Spider-Man's easy to say. Yondu, possibly. Mark 47, quite possibly. Quite possibly the Mark 47. Deadpool. Okay, so I'm thinking Yondu comes to mind. I'm thinking Mark 47 comes to mind. I'm thinking Spider-Man comes to mind. I don't know if I remember showing you guys what I did with my Yondu. I bought two of them so I could display one in Guardians of the Galaxy mode and one in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 mode, or essentially Mohawk controller and not control, short one and spiky one. And what I then did is I took these extra pieces and was able to spin that all the way around his body. And I think that turned out pretty good, how that ended up working on that. Can you guys see that? I like how I did that. And that's two of these from both sets wrapped around his body in order to be able to attain that. And that's how I did that. I liked how that worked, because it kind of went on this crazy little path as it traveled from him. Didn't necessarily go exactly in a straight line. And I really like that. I like Yondu. I wish they'd given us his little gold tooth. That's the only thing I like about, or wish, that's my regret on Yondu, is that we got the gold tooth. So I'd say between, and Black Panther. So, geez. I don't know. I'm loving Tom Holland and Spider-Man. I love the Mark 47 diecast. I like all the lights on those figures. This guy, he lights up all over. It's amazing. So I love the Mark 47, 46, same figure. So I actually have 3 of these exact same figures, just different paint schemes on them, right? Mark 46, 46 concept, and the Mark 47. And the lights on them, jeez, every little piece that lights up, he's beautiful. When you light him up, he is beautiful. Tom Holland, Spider-Man. I originally ordered 2 of those, canceled one of them for funds, and didn't have the money to get the second one. I wish I could have got that second one, because now you're going to pay an arm and a leg if you want one. And I really wish I had 2 of them. Really wish I had 2 of them. Jeez. So that's where that is. So between the Mark 47, Spider-Man, Yondu. I can't think whatever else might be from 2018. I like the Mark 6 and Mark 4. Mark 5. Mark 5 diecast. Oh, man. Now that's a whole nother caliber. So the Mark 6, Mark 4, and Mark 47 and 46 are all cool because of all the lights. But man, oh man, oh man. The way they articulated that Mark 5, all the little attachments of him going together. This may be the winner. This may be the winner for the coolest figure of 2018. I don't know what else to say about this other than look at this. What more can you say? I mean, I have obviously the Mark V, the original Mark V, and he's cool. But this has probably got to have to be, and I end up forgetting about him. This is probably the coolest figure. I mean, look at the biceps, do their thing. The chest pieces do their thing. And then the little legs do their thing. All that opens and closes. So it's not something you add on to it. It's not something you have to take off and then put on in order to achieve that effect. It's right there. So now that I think about it, I would have to probably say this Mark V is my favorite piece from 2018. And of course, they didn't give us the head sculpt, but I've made the head sculpt from my original one. So I have an open helmet Mark V. And you can see a video that I've made on that. I didn't show it being done, but you can see closer in detail of what I've done there. And it closes right up. There you go. So this was a cool figure in the first place. You had to replace the pieces if you want him to do the things. And he doesn't do everything that this guy does. I'd have to say the Mark V. Favorite piece. What would rate Ant-Man and Wasp out of 10? I would say 9 being amazing. I enjoyed Ant-Man and Wasp. Unfortunately, I don't remember it well enough at this point in order to be able to say whether it was a 9 or a 10. I like the humor of his friend, how he tells all his little stories. And I liked how, like, he was comparing with the guy from Matrix, the guy from Predator, I forget his name, about, you know, because he was evidently the original Giant Man, he was saying. He was talking about the size that he was and became, and then Ant-Man, of course, saying that his size was bigger. And so I like the little jokes and stuff about that. But I don't remember it well enough to say 9 or 10. I'm sorry I don't. Yondu. I'm telling you, man, he's right in there. He's in the running of one of them, no doubt about it. But I think Mark 5 wins out. Black Panther fought 2 human torches, if you get the joke. I have to think about that. Can you tell us about the re-release of the Hall of Armor? Yes, it's the identical piece. I've got a video that I've been working on since the day that they gosh darn announced it, and I haven't put the video together yet. But it's the exact same Hall of Armor. And so now, this is what you get with the Hall of Armor. If you buy the single piece, just a Hall of Armor, just one compartment, and we did see just one in Marvel Avengers. When he goes to get the Mark 6 suit, it was stored in one of the Hall of Armors on the helicarrier. So that is the one. When you buy that, it comes with the plastic front sheet. And it comes with all 7 of the appliques that go on it. So you can use, what did I do with it? Right here. So when you get the Hall of Armor, you get one of these little thin plastic front covers. They don't attach in there perfectly. You set it into the little slot, and then you lean it back, and it leans onto the light that is above him. And that's how they sit in there. And on the, if you buy the single set, it comes with one set of all 7 of these. And you just decide which one you want, and you just stick it onto it. It's not really a sticker, it's just a vinyl piece that just adheres, a little soap and water. Put soap and water on there, and you just slide it off there. You can put any one of them on there, 1 through 7. If you get the 4-pack, which is what it was in Iron Man 2, you save some money on them, because I think they're like $125 a piece. And if you buy the 4-pack, it ends up being like $450 or something, compared to buying 4 single packs, which would be $500. So you get to save like $50. And it comes with, if I remember correctly, 2 sets of these 7. And they're identical. So, I mean, they're not identical. They each one are specific to it, but when you get the multiple set still comes with, there's no difference between what the Mark IV says. The Mark IV says what the Mark IV says, and the Mark VI says what the Mark VI says, and they say the same thing, so they're not different. If you buy the 7-pack, again, you save even more money, so I think it's only like $750 for them altogether, and if I remember correctly, you get 3 sets of these. So I don't know why you would need 3 of them, or why you would need even 2 of them, but you do get the extra pieces. What I wish that they came out with was, because when they first released the Hall of Armor, or when they first announced them, they didn't have the whole Iron Legion. I wish that they would make the 8 through 42 of these. And that way, if you were to buy the Hall of Armor, of the square Hall of Armor, and I'm not talking about these Toys Box ones, I'm talking about the original ones, and you wanted to put your Mark 23 shades in there, you should have one of these. Now, that's not canon. We didn't see that in the movies. When we've seen the wine cellar, which had the rest of the armor pieces in there, we didn't see these little covers over them. But I can't imagine why he wouldn't have had them over them. Because really what they were was the status of what condition the suit is in, if it's ready, if it's mission deployable, if it needs to have repair done to it, or whatever. So for instance, like what this one says on it, it says scanning 100%, repulse RT electric 100%, level ready, suit diagnostics 100%, check damage 0%, status ready. So all these little things on there, data systems online, beta, heuristic, analysis. This is to tell him what's going on with the suit. So I can't imagine on the suits 8 through 42 that were stored under the garage in what we refer to as the wine cellar, I can't imagine them also not having these, because he should be able to go down there and get them. And we've seen him walking down to the wine cellar. And we've seen concept art of him actually being a type of a control panel and pieces being able to come up and down to them. So I don't know how far they actually went in that creation, because we only seen just a little portion of it. I think we only seen like 4 or maybe 5 suits. The Mark 25 was one of them that we've seen. I think the Star Boost was another one that we've seen down in the underneath the wine cellar. And the Mark 25, by the way, you could buy the Mark 3 construction suit, which was just like the chest hanging. The Mark 25 is the one that we've seen actually like that. And again, I hope I'm not talking above you guys, and I don't want to talk down to you guys if you know exactly what I'm talking about. But in Iron Man 3, when we see the wine cellar, this is the piece that we see in half assemble. This guy. The Mark 25. So this is one of the ones that we actually see in the wine cellar, but we only see half of them. And I think the little arm is even like laying on the ground in front of him, but he's hanging by the chains. And I think the Star Boost is another one, so I don't remember. So I don't know why, or what I wish that they would do is make that available in the Hall of Armor. I hope that answered your question, Jason. I've seen the original Lego movie. I didn't see Lego Batman, but I've seen the original Lego movie, and of course, while I'm sitting there watching the Spider-Man movie trailers, the Lego movie looks pretty funny, and I think I'm probably going to go see that. My wife doesn't enjoy those kinds of kiddie movies. She's more of a, drama and action, destruction action, and love stories, and those are the ones she likes. Chris Evans and Michael B. Jordan, the guy who played Killmonger, were both in Fantastic Four as the Human Torch. Really? I do remember Chris Evans now as the original Human Torch in the first Fantastic Four movie that they made in the last 20 years. And I did not see the remake of Fantastic Four, the second one or whatever that they made. I've seen the one that had Quicksilver in it, but I didn't see the one they did after that. I didn't know that that was Chris Evans. But now that you brought that to my mind, I can see that. How about that? I didn't know that. Huh. Funny. Who is it that played Black Panther? What's his name? Help me out there. Anyhow, did you see how much struggle I went through to get him out of the case? Because I have the waist pincher on him. I'd like to get another one of the crotch grabbers so I can just pull him right in and out. I like these guys. They're unique. They have this very interesting foot thing going on here. What I'd like for them to do would be to revisit all of these. And I'm not talking about Hot Toys revisiting and making them. Of course, I want Diecast and all them. What I'm talking about is the studios. Could you imagine if they made a movie that touched on every one of these little suits and had a little story involved in them? Wouldn't that be cool? Do not see the new Fantastic Four. It is god awful. All right, thanks for the heads up, Rick. Chadwick Boseman. Thank you. Chadwick. And yeah, I don't remember who it was that made this. I think I bought this from 1/6 Kit Chen. I really think that that's dead on Chadwick Boseman. I don't have any doubt in my mind who that is that I'm looking at there. And so I had to buy this, had to have this. And so one of my theories is that the reason we don't get certain, and I don't know for fact, head sculpts with certain figures is maybe because we didn't see that head sculpt on that figure. So that was what I was telling myself in regards to like the Iron Man figures. Like, oh, well, how come we didn't get this with this suit? Or how come we didn't get that with that suit? Or why did we get it with this suit or that suit? Like Mark 33 Silver Centurion, we definitely get a head sculpt on. And that was what I'd always theorized. And then, so of course, when Black Panther came out, we didn't get a head sculpt. And I'm like, so first thing that came to my mind was, oh, maybe we didn't see him wearing his suit and the head. Oh, yes, we did. when Black Panther makes his debut, more or less, when he's chasing Bucky down the tunnel, and the police show up and everybody, they've apprehended everybody, and he takes his helmet off, and he's in the suit right then and there. And I think Chris Evans even says, Captain America says to him, "Your Highness." So we see that in the movie. So why we didn't get it, that would have to be at that point some type of agreement or arrangement in the likeness or depiction of him in the creation of the suit. And I don't understand that one bit. And it's kind of like the Drax figure. What in the world took them so long to release Drax? And I don't have a Drax. And I wish I had a Drax. I need to get me a Drax. I need me a Drax. And why did it take so long to come about? It makes me wonder if licensing really does have something to do with that, because I would think that in the creation of the movie, that these guys have already signed all their licenses, likeness licenses at the time of the filming of the movie, and whether or not they're getting royalties or how much they're getting, and all that. And I don't see why there would even be any complaint or argument or discussion in regards to what's being crafted in regards to that, because the money's already been issued and resolved, and you've already signed off on it. What do you do about dust? I wish I knew. It's a battle that I've given up on here. I actually paid somebody to come by and dust all my figures, and she spent 3 hours dusting all my figures. And within a week, it was like it wasn't even done. So that's a battle right now that I don't even know. I wish that I could have glass in front of everything here. But the problem is, like I was saying earlier, I'm using bookshelves. I'm not using figure shelves. You can buy curio cabinets, what they used to be called back in the day, and now they're like figure shelves. But Detolfs, for instance, even those aren't hermetically sealed. You can still get dust in them, but at least they have a glass front, which none of my guys do. None of my guys are encased in any cover, except for my Hall of Armor. And even these guys, they have a whole side on them that's open. These suits don't. They pretty much seal in, so they're free from dust. And the guys that are underneath this are free from dust for the most part. But it's even more so a problem in this house because of the way the roof was designed. It was originally a tar and gravel roof, so there's always dust that's coming through from that in here. It's a really dusty house, and it's a battle that I am losing. I got the Infinity War cap. I sure do. I have him down here on my Infinity War shelf, which is also the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 shelf and also the Doctor Strange shelf. And so I'll show you how I have him displayed currently. Attempt to show you at any rate. Yeah, that didn't survive. All right, so on the Infinity War cap, first off, talk about the base. So they give you the one base, but they give you the option of how you want that to be on there. Do you want to have this or that? So that's what's actually applied, which is the Infinity War logo, and then they give you this to go over it. And I decided to go with this. And then you get a portion of an Outrider. We're supposed to be getting a figure of this. That's what they showed us, right? So you get a portion of an Outrider that wraps around the base as such. And then you get the bearded cap. And the shield can be displayed in two ways. So I have that shield all the way open. and I have this shield closed up. So it's the exact same shield. You get two of them, one for each arm. And so this one can be converted into that configuration. Which is pretty cool, the way that does that. So it really just spreads right out. And so what I've done in my display of him is, instead of him wearing both shields, because you also have these. And I think one of these is Corvus Glaives. I don't remember who these two spears belong to. But what I display them in then is, I think I had them like this. I think I have this down here. And I think I put this like this. And I have him holding both of these. I had him configured into this hand here. And I'm not going to be able to do it right now because I'm kind of backwards on it. But kind of that's what I have. And then I put his other shield down at his feet like this. So that is how I ended up deciding how to display my Infinity War Captain America. And it's funny because Captain America is one of those guys that I just thought, I'll just buy one. That's all I need. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. I don't know how many Captain Americas I have now. Not enough. What are there? 10 versions of him? And that's you wouldn't think that. You wouldn't think, oh, there's so many versions of him, but there really are. And I don't have all of them, and I want all of them. And isn't that how that works? Either you pay for it when it first comes out and you get it at a reasonable price, or you pay for it later and you don't get it at a reasonable price. Or maybe it happens to be a figure that doesn't sell a lot of them, and the scalpers get stuck with them and they end up selling them for less than what they paid for originally. So I guess it's a gamble in how that works out. But that's how I've decided to display my Captain America's Infinity War, and I love him. I think it's cool, and I don't know what the spears are from. I'm sorry, and I decided to have him hold both of them since they gave them to us. And I don't remember whether he was an exclusive or not. Dust is our kryptonite as Hot Toys. Yes, it is. Hate the dust, man. Hate it. They do the no-HUD sculpt to make us buy. You know what? I think you're probably right. They do it just to make you have to buy another one. The big con. Did I see Avengers in-game trailer? I've seen the first one that starts off with Tony making his recording to Pepper. By the way, what a bitch this was to get on. As you've seen, I was about to put this guy away and his little thing came undone. This literally broke apart while putting this together. Big pain in the ass. And I thought I glued that well enough. And evidently I did not, as it just came apart again. And so I'm going to have to glue that. I had the most difficult time in the world putting this on there. And I hated that. One of the caps I have, I think it's Age of Ultron. Really easy shield transition that just magnetizes on there, bam, stick it on there, bam, put it to his back, done. Every other one, it's almost like as if they're making it impossible for you, just to make it impossible for you, and I hate that. Did I see the Avengers England? Yes. I did not watch any of the other ones, and I'll tell you why. I like to go to the movie and be shocked and amazed and caught off guard. And I hate whenever they make these trailers that have depicted so much of the movie that I now no longer need to see the movie, or I'm not going to be surprised by the movie. Like, I'm sure you guys have seen the trailer, but when they're showing the missing or deceased characters, and Scott Lang shows up as missing. And if you've seen Ant-Man and Wasp, you know where he is. He's in the Quantum Verse. Gone, because Wasp was killed, and original Ant-Man, God, what's his name, was killed. So there's nobody back there operating the equipment. And the original Wasp was killed. Both Wasps were killed by Thanos. Now he's stuck. And then next thing you know, we see him standing out there, knocking on the door, saying, "Hello, it's me. Let me in. Remember me from the airport in Germany?" You know, it's like, okay, well, thanks for ruining that, because now we know that he gets out of the quantum realm. And I think I really would have been appreciating it more to be shocked and surprised about that in the theater than instead of knowing about it for 6, 9 months or a year beforehand. So I hate when they do that. So I try not to watch too many of the trailers because I still want to be able to enjoy the movie. I still want to go there and, like Spider-Verse. Oh my God. The emotions on that just racked right through me and just made me, like I said, I cried like a baby throughout most of the doggone movie. Show you all the Captain Americas. I've got them all displayed around. I don't want to bust them out because it's going to mess up their displays. I've got the Captain America Civil War over here fighting Tony in the Iron Man Mark 46 suit. I've got the concept art Captain America over here. I have him displayed next to my Red Skull and Johann Schmidt. I've got Captain America Age of Ultron in the other room fighting Ultron. And then Captain America Infinity War right here. I think that's it. I was theorizing at 4 or 5 of them. I guess it's 4. I can't think of another one. But every one of them are actually on display, except Captain America concept art. He's not. And this guy, you've seen as I just moved him, I busted everything up that I had him set up on. So I don't like moving my figures if I don't have to, because when I precariously place them and balance them into a position and get them right where they are, when you move them, you never really get them back to the way that you want them at. But those are the ones that I have, and I'd like to get the first Avenger. I'd like to get the stealth version. I'd like to get the Steve Rogers version, and all of that. Another figure that I passed on that I'm probably going to regret it is the road-worn Thor. And like the original Loki, I passed on that, and I regretted that ever since. You watch the Super Bowl. I'm only watching for in-game TV trader. You know, I like sports, and I'll watch a sports game. If somebody says, "Hey, come on over to the house, watch the Super Bowl," I'll go over and I'll watch the Super Bowl with you. But I'm not even sure who's playing. Is it the Patriots and I don't even know who's playing. Sorry. My shield broke too, so my only display with one. Super glue man, or see, so depending on what I've got, the 3 glues that I use are, of course, as I was showing you, Elmer's glue. If I don't want a permanent bond and I need to create some type of resistance, I'm going to use an Elmer's glue. School glue, white glue, horse glue, super glue. I buy this super glue right here, and I get it from Harbor Freight, and it is glue, and you can open this. I opened this bottle up originally probably 2 years ago, and I'm still able to use it. Compared to some of the other super glues you buy, you use them once, and in a week you got to throw it away because you've totally used it up. But I've been able to open and close this all the time. I get it from Harbor Freight, and this is a super glue that I use right here. Cyanic acid or something like that, or what it is, I forget the actual name of it. CA glue is another name for super glue. CA glue. By the way, if you can't find it on their super glue name, I don't remember what the CA stands for. So really, cyanic, I don't know. I'm sorry. And then the other glue is good old-fashioned model glue. And the difference being is that, if I understand correctly, the model glue actually melts the plastic pieces together, whereas the super glue creates a bond between the 2 pieces without actually melting them. So that's the 3 glues that I use depending on what kind of a repair that I'm doing or what purpose it is that I'm doing in regards to that. And I think I used super glue on this the first time. I'm going to try probably to use the rubber glue, the rubber cement. Problem is, sometimes when you put the super glue onto it, it creates this little hard piece that doesn't allow this to melt in there. So that's why I imagine it came undone because I used the wrong glue at that time for the purpose of what it was that needed to be fixed. Do I put batteries in your Iron Man figures? I used to. I used to put them in every single time to light them up, and then I'd leave them in there. And then one day I was in the other room, and in this room, all of a sudden I started hearing pop. And I'm like, what the hell is that? So I came in here, I'm looking around, I didn't see anything. And then as I was walking out, I heard again, pop. And I have a box that I put all the batteries in right here. I probably ought to sell these batteries. But in this box are all the batteries for all the figures. All right? And so I heard another thing go pop, and then I traced it down, and it was the batteries literally exploding in here. So at that point, I took all the batteries out of all the figures, or I thought I did, because I found out today I have them in my Mark 6. And so no, I don't put the batteries in the figures, and all these batteries are brand new, and it just gets thrown right in here, and I probably ought to sell them. And I don't, because of that reason there. They don't last long in the figures, and they have a tendency to blow up. And I don't mean like blow up as in explosion, but they just expand and pop out, and then you have the acid or whatever's inside of it leaking out inside of your figure. So no, I do not. And Soap Reactor makes a really nice AC converter for that, so that you can put batteries in your pieces and then control it with electrical power and light them up and have them on as long as you want. Don't have to worry about them burning out. But it's very expensive, and it's like one adapter for one armor for all 4 pieces or something to that effect. And I think it's like $100 or something like that. So if you're lighting up 48 suits, that's $4,800. So I have not gotten any of those yet, but I am going to be getting. That's the plan later on down the road, is to get Soap Reactor AC power for that. But no, I do not keep batteries in them. So I used to put them in there when I bought them and showed them off to you on my videos when I was making them. But now for the most part, I don't even put them in. I did like on the 45 and 46 because I really like how those guys light up. Beautiful. And then I took them right out. But man, oh man, oh man. Yeah, and there's 2 different size Thanos. So the original Thanos is shorter than the new Thanos. But both of them are the same actor. Josh Brolin played both of those Thanos. There's actually another actor that did a Thanos because he was in 3 movies before Infinity War. I got the Mark II and I'm looking for a Mark III and a Mark I 6 scale. Do you have them, and what do they look like? All right, so the Mark II and the Mark III, I got a Mark II, and I'm looking for a Mark III. Okay, so the Mark II and the Mark III are the same suit. If you remember in the movie, when he fabricated the Mark II, he flew the Mark II out and up. And he was going for an altitude test, and it iced up, and he crashed. As soon as he crashed, he calculated with Jarvis how best to resolve that, and he decided on a gold chromium alloy plating or something. I don't remember what it was, which would keep him from icing up. And then when they painted all the gold on there, I think Tony says something to the effect of, it's a bit ostentatious, don't you think? And Jarvis is like, he made a little quip. I don't remember what the wording was, but almost like, oh, really? Too ostentatious for you? Because, he's pretty out there. And then Tony says, I don't remember whether he says the term throw or slap a little hot rod red on there and call it done. And so the Mark III is, truthfully, a Mark II. It's the Mark II that he repainted gold and red. And so it's the exact same piece. And in the painting process, The Mark II has on it all of the little rivets all the way around it. The Mark III doesn't. So you're assuming then that in that process of refabricating the pieces or painting the pieces over to be gold and red, that they covered up the rivet marks on them as the Mark II and Mark III. So you can probably still buy the Mark II and the Mark III somewhere. The Mark II, I think you can still get brand new, and it sounds like that's what you did. The Mark III is going to be a little more difficult to purchase because it was one of the first diecast figures that came out. I think it may have actually even been the first diecast figure. I don't remember if it was the first one or not. It was either that or the Mark 42 were one of the first ones. So those are your hardest ones to get. The Mark I they made two of those, Hot Toys has, and I own what's called the 2.0 version of it, which is a better rendition of it. And I imagine there's going to be a diecast release of it sooner or later. I would expect this year to see an announcement of the Mark I diecast. And I have my Mark I up in my Hall of Armor. So let me just see if I can just raise this camera up here. I don't want to bust everyone out of the Hall of Armor. Did that help any at all? Not really. But I don't want to pull this Mark I out of here. He's fragile. But that's him right there. I don't know if you can see him, but he's fragile. He's a fragile piece. And I'm happy to have him. And it'll be good to have him redone as a die cast. And so you're getting into the hobby at a good point, because that one's going to be, I expect it to be announced this year. But I'm not going to take him out, because like I said, he's fragile, and I don't know what could possibly happen in removing him from there. I don't want him to fall apart. I mean, I could take him out, but I'm not going to mess with that. Sorry to say. So he's going to have to stay up there where he is. And you can probably find a Mark III through eBay or something to that effect. And I hope that they redo the Mark III, because like I said, it was one of the original diecast figures. So it's wrought with problems because of that. There you go. All right. So, guys, thank you very much for sticking with me. I will be back here next Saturday, same time. So in a week, I will see you again. And I love every one of you. And thank you very much for being subscribers and for spending your time with me and watching my videos. And shoot me your messages. I try to respond to everybody that sends me a message to through any of the videos. And it's a great hobby. It's an expensive hobby, and it's fun. And I don't just collect just Hot Toys, but I seem to be pretty much stuck on the Marvel universe for the most part. I have some Feiston figures that I have, and I have some figures that are outside of, and I got my Astromech, my R2D2 collection, and stuff like that. For the most part, though, it seems that I've pretty much centered and have stayed on the Marvel Cinematic Universe of the Hot Toys division, and that's where I am. So I anticipate that I'm going to start reviewing the videos again on my camera now that I have my table set up in here. I was just talking to my wife about that last night, so stay tuned for those too. So thanks again for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like, because that helps out a lot. Share these videos with your friends. Let them know about the channel, where to go, where they can find Winston Scale news and reviews. And I'll see you all on the next video. Happy collecting.